I think a couple things I take from what you just talked about was that reminding departments that things need to be aligned with the mission of the college are important, and then backing it up with the resources that leadership has to make that happen. But I imagine there might be a few representatives from institutions out there where that culture doesn't exist in the same way it did at Davidson. And I wonder if any of the panelists have any insights, time for one insight, about what those types of programs might do if they don't have that kind of culture or that isn't in the strategic plan right now.
When I thought about this question, I actually was thinking about something that James said last night, and that was you need borders, but don't let the borders get in the way. And there was a metaphor that worked for our campus to help. We do have very strong silos. And as the team was working to try to help break those barriers, one of the metaphors that helped was that our campus was a playground. And this gets to James' comment about a sand pit. We had a wonderful playground, had a lot of cool stuff in it in terms of what the faculty and the students were using. We wanted to add a sandbox where students and faculty could go and play and then go back. Or they could connect it to what they're doing. They could take the sand and bring it back. And it really helped both the committee that was working as well as the communication with programs to talk about, we're not trying to take away your playground equipment. We're trying to build something fairly inexpensive into the playground where everybody can come and join and try something out. And it was a great metaphor for us to move forward and to work with the departments.
And if I can just say something here, I think one of the great opportunities is to try to address these issues, at least partly, from the perspective of the rest of the faculty. I think one of the best parts of the documents that were sent out is on page 38, in which there are myths about interdisciplinarity that's identified here. And you can look at that yourself, but think about the terms that just are omnipresent here and how the rest of the faculty thinks about those terms. Integrative learning is, for a lot of faculty, either a very poorly defined concept or something that faculty already think that they're doing. I was at National University of Singapore and doing a review for a small honors program which actually has some aspects of integrative learning, and talking to faculty outside the program who saw that program as a threat to their resources, and they spent an hour telling me that they were doing integrative learning. Well, I mean, National University of Singapore, they're as far removed from integrative learning as any place on the face of the earth, probably. Interdisciplinarity is threatening, has been said. And we've allied ourselves for good reasons, but we've allied ourselves with assessment, which is evil in the minds of most faculty. And if you take an institutional perspective, you're connecting yourselves to STEM, which for the rest of the campus is already a little bit on the annoying side.
He's not a scientist.
But these are all real things that are out there in the rest of the community and so trying to find language and approaches that actually try to connect people where they live is not a bad step in this process.
That's great. I think that was a really rich discussion. So transparency, inclusion, taking a global view from your campus are all some themes that I heard come out of that conversation. Okay, one quick, Terry. We want to make sure we have time for questions from the audience.
It's interesting coming from a Research One institution, where the idea of interdisciplinarity, or at least multidiscipline or cross-disciplinary research, is integral to the success of the institution. We have interdisciplinary graduate programs, all of these things. What I find interesting is the disconnect between faculty who are engaged in those types of projects and their connection to the undergraduate curriculum. And so that's one of the things that is somewhat of a process that's kind of unique within many of the research institutions. And how do we begin the process then of training those students who are our graduate students, who may be involved in interdisciplinary research? How do we gauge, help them make that process so when they go to accept faculty positions at other institutions, that they make that connection to the undergraduate curriculum? And that's something that I think is still, I'm not sure how we best do that. So.
That's a great insight from a research institution perspective that does definitely embrace it when it comes to research, follow the money, right? There's lots of funding for interdisciplinary research, but how do we translate all of that? Again, building from Jim's address last night.